He has also certified 100 plus, probably over 100 stretch coaches, and he's partnering with gyms nationwide to deliver profitable stretch therapy programs. This is more important than ever. Recovery is so incredibly important now, and it's very profitable. It's an excellent skill for us to have. Gail has a wonderful stretch certification that she's doing actually this Sunday in Atlanta, and Gail Van is the flexibility specialist and core yoga and Pilates coach trained for this with the New York Jets. Yeah, she could run with and around. Here we go. She owns the Bannister Mountain Studio and manages group expert. How many crutches is it? 8 now? 10. She's up to 10. She runs 10 crunch locations in New York City. She consults with pro athletes across the NFL, NBA, NHL, and MLB. She holds certifications from just about everyone. And then we have one of my favorite teachers, who is Amber Toole. We got Carol Barrel here, and we got a third Toole. And Amber is the most incredible educator. She has led how many different, at least 4 of our different different certifications. She owns 2 gyms. She's opening a 3rd gym, very successful business owner. She owns a degree in physical education and health from Georgia Southern University, so she's local here to Atlanta. She specializes in fitness, nutrition, coaching, and her studio, I love this, is called The Training Tool. I love that. I think it's great. And it's out of Florida. And one of those studios is a private Pilates studio, and I think you're opening another Pilates studio, right? Or it's going to be more of a personal training studio. So I am going to pick these people's brains, not just on Summer in Full Swing, that webinar. We're also going to be looking a little bit of what the business of management. So I'm throwing this at you guys, the 3 of you are amazing experts. So we're going to look at how to stay strong and mobile, injury-free. Since you're watching at home, what I really would also like you to do, please, is there's a chat box right there. If you have questions, type them in, and our wonderful cinematographer, Dan, will be gracious enough to read some of these questions to us, and we'll make sure we answer them. And I'm starting with you, Evans, because you got the microphone. What are the most common injuries that you see during summer sports?
Yeah, so, we serve mostly older, as saying, by the newborn, means 40 and above adults, so old, younger, so 40 about, but, the children and grandchildren are sports as well. So from my demographic, the number one, injury or sport injury is something to do with rotation, right? So they're hurting your knees a lot, pickleball or ankles with pickleball, with golfing. Those are the 2 big ones. Some are still playing tennis at a good level, so they get the little tennis elbows, some low back shower get us. So anything dealing with some form of rotations, creates some stability. We'll talk about that a little bit, is where there are opportunities.
Okay, that's really interesting. I'm a big pickleball player, so I shove stuff that thing. I never did a book club. I don't play mahjong. I had no friends. I worked full time and I had 4. So you're my friend, but you're a loser. And you're just like me. You have other friends. So Gail and I are friends. No one else likes us. But seriously, I was very, very busy. But I took up pickleball. Like, first thing I did play pickleball was I'm from Evidence City.
Very common.
Yeah, very common. And it is. It's very common. And number one thing is these people don't wear the right shoes. They just don't wear the right shoes. All right, I'm going to start. She wants to start. So they don't wear the right shoes. How do we deal with them as personal trainers to get them to adhere to sort of simple protocols?
Shoes is about non-topic about scallops. So you need to wear a cross-training shoe. You cannot wear focus about the more shoes and students. all because of the worst shoes to wear that.
For sports.
So sports. It's so cushiony, everything now. If you went back, actually spend this in personal training today, many people know say bonus. Why is he so bad? Hey, to do 2016 Olympics, give on the brace and who is this guy? He ran bare feet on sand on the beach. And everybody shoes like that. His shoes are so thin on the track, it's almost empty train bare feet. So everyone looks. Hookers were really designed for speed, for population, for comfort. And mine periods, and I'm suddenly bought it, if you can't bend your shoe, you have to worry. That's why I'm like, if you cannot visibly bend your shoe, you have to worry, because it's also not the fasciitis start saying you can roll in at the ankle, then set the ace, thank you very much. Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much. Then you go there, but I think in fresh shoes. These are fresh shoes. So if you look at me, another word, I'm bare feet 99% of the time we feel. I'm wearing flip-flops or I can get them off and then I wear whatever else I can take my hands on, but you'll never see it in the helmets. So all right. But
Hello. But no, it's okay. Someday, I'll just put it away. When I was at the Mayo Clinic, I had to do that executive checkup that I do every year just to say, and they recommended Hocus for me. And it helps with walking, but intermittently, I'll always throw this. No, that will shoot that one movement. No, that's how I hit my knee. That's where I focus. Walking, will be right. Don't recommend that, but wear something that's comfortable. So that will be in the shoe. That's a problem. Fitting, give me that one. And Amber, if you deal with a similar clientele that's a little bit older,
over 40,
right?
And what I would like to say, so you have, Gail was talking about the equipment and how you're dressing and what you're wearing. What I'm going to say is general fitness does not equate to being sports specific fit. So in my studio, I found some people who just decided that they were going to go play pickleball, which is great, and want to be more active. But if you aren't ready for that, you got to train sports specifically for that. So there are certain things that you need to look at. Just because I'm fit doesn't mean that I need to go out there and try to play tennis with my husband who's a tennis pro. There are things that you need to do to prepare before you do it. The other thing that I'm seeing with a lot of our summer warriors that get out there and do these things is they don't do any type of a warm-up or prep. They just pop out, gonna go play golf. Let me grab one and stuff and go out there. Nobody stretches, nobody does any mobility work. They don't do any kind of a warm-up. And now we're just out here playing a sport. So just because you are fit, you need to pay attention to the fact that there are things you need to do to prepare before you play a sport.
I think that's really interesting because when I go skiing, I'm walking up. I live right near the mountains, so I just walk up 10 steps, and I turn around, and then I go down the mountain. My husband, who's a man, just jumps out and leaps over and goes by then, and he's had the knee surgery, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And I wish that I had done more prep for pickleball, wearing the right shoes. I found out that I've got to have a salvo, but I think I had a salvo from skiing. I don't even have the ski season was so bad last year that I was pushing. So 90%, apparently 90% of tennis salvo was not from tennis, So the guard, things like that. Somebody tried to just stop ripping the handle so tightly, and how to change things.
Yeah, and I'd say even, we're talking about sports, but in this season, think that also instead of in addition to that subtle, but there's something, right? Of me teaching our clients center, because writing, a lot of those things are big things that happen, especially with dehydration, so, and that just 2% dehydration is going to make a huge impact on, that client's well-being. So things, with a good quality warm-up, they can increase low food and joints. I've noticed some people just like your tendons and joints, like a rodent, right? So you just pull it really fast and it's going to snap. But if you just want that sucker up, you can move it a little bit more. So if you're doing a throw for a warm up, you just that movement system really growing that can prepare you as well for those things. And even other things that we don't look at as a sport or activity, but it's very relevant to the season, especially for training clients, is gardening. Like getting out in your yard and doing those kind of things. So, or you teach them high hinge. Use the next teaching like hinge. Well, they move that over, and they're going to start listening to stuff. Maybe moving mulch. They're going to be, do digging. Well, what's the biomechanics to do those regular activities? Because, we're not going to have jello anymore. You know what I mean? So we got to loosen the higher latency for the what? But some people do it for pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's reserved. And it's not like it.
Yeah.
But I said that as yeah.
Wait. Use back. The landscape is coming. I tell you very funny for us. It's shoots. It's that. I don't have sign bet. You ain't do that cheap. Okay. But it's like, okay, so I'm gonna throw this out, and Amber, I bet you have some temporary how of this. Wouldn't it be like great to do a strength training for gardeners or golfers? I know there's specific. If we did a small group training program, I think it would be yes. Can I throw it in here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Well, have we small eye to do the small group training from the Sahel?
Oh, yeah. I attended a workshop for pickleball players, and I had a couple of my ladies stopping in, and so I went over some exercise mistake and get strengthened and get ready for that. Definitely golfers need to be doing strength training. I had one of my longtime clients, he was a big golfer, and his game got better, and his wife was like, it's because you've been working out with the environment, and it's so you could see that launched further into that sport, even though we weren't sport specific, but there were things that I would put in that were specific to him. Talking about golf, it's really interesting. Do you know what the number one most common injury complaint is with golf? Do you guys know?
I was location on lower back.
Lower back. Lower back. You want to be subjective. So we know that we need to focus on exercises that strengthen the lower back for somebody who is a golfer. So there's so many things that you can look at. If you are a personal trainer, then you can provide this service for your clients. You just have to do a little more research and think about what the movement.
All right. Because, and Dan, is it okay if we stand up and show us the
course.
exercise?
Good. Please do.
So, Amber, what would you do? She's got it really good out. I know Amber. She's like, I love this. So, if you got a protocol of exercise that can really nice. Yeah.
I love the power press.
I
love the power press.
So
There you go. The power press, so you're going to have somebody stabilize it. If they had a resistance band that was timed, so Gail is going to be my anchor with the resistance band. Keep finding that neutral position. So if you're Pilates, this is great too. So you're finding that neutral position, taking that deep breath in. You're going to exhale and draw the ribcage in and let your obliques rotate you. So your body's going to go with that. You're fighting against the pull here, and now I've got to control it back. So this is all those deep internal abdominal muscles that you're learning to use that control with, and not just, we're not doing crunches and stuff like that. But they're core, they're instead learning that anti-rotational movement pattern and turning all those deeper internal muscles.
And it helps people to decelerate the movement as well.
Exactly. Because we have something back, but we're doing it with control and stopping before the band pulls us all the way right.
And that I do a workshop called Pickleball Power Performance.
Yeah, when you're doing that, I think
I do on live rotation exercises because it's all the forehand and the backhand. We do exercises like putting a rubber band on your hand and opening. Opening the fingers up. Yes, and put you have the rubber band on it, and then you also anchor your elbow in, and lean against a wall, right on top of like a armrest of a chair. And I do this squeeze the ball, but I just take a washcloth, double it up, and I just sit there and just squeeze it. But it's really helped strengthen the arm because you want to work eccentrically.
Yes.
Like, and where people get, I'm not bringing anything out of this show yet. Like, but look, I got my little.
I saw
These are great. They really work, and they're really good. I'll also take a weight, and then I do it eccentrically. You lift it up, and you slowly bring it down.
Yeah, so you can
Help and slowly bring it down.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is there was and Evan's going, you know about this, there was a physical therapist out of England that actually really wanted to focus on the eccentric here. And that's what really, I know, I built all my toys and everything. And stretching. So if you strengthen that work at eccentrically, they want you to go to stretch it out. But the biggest difference I found was that this great physical therapist from England just said, stop gripping your ankles so tight. I was so nervous because I can't stop. Okay, I love to go up, but that's just not good. I'm getting better, but it's just gripping and like you said, rotation. Do you ever see people with wrist problems along with the elbow?
Well, they're connected, right? You have, and a lot of times people think that carpal tunnel syndrome, instead of brachioradialis, so this muscle here that's controlling this breaking action of getting flexes, that's what it is, firing up. So I know you want to talk about overuse centeredness and things like that.
Yes.
What happens is to just your heaviest component doing that without the recovery side of it. So maybe like post pickleball, you're doing a lot of those stresses. A lot of these things are stressing your rest out, but you're actually stressing the muscles responsible for wrist flexion. So as you do that, that helps with the recovery more than just localized pressure, on the entire cellulite. That's everything. You have, some of the shoulder component because we tend to go overhead a little bit, or even for younger people, athletes, you have the throwing exercises, so we just want to think about hey, what is the pattern of working, and then how do I recover the load I put on there? So for you, because you're working on it, you fight the direct. The tennis racket go right market, so that's going to cause that form to be loaded out, with it.
And I'm like, just one thing I want to add on with evidence done in the pickleball and the sports, make sure that you're practicing your highest, the riders, the activity Sunday. The sport, as she said, the season starting because you're going to throw your game off because you're opening up their flexibility and their tissue and their fascia. So if you want that, you don't want to do it during the season, that they're so used to, I don't know, let's say time is spent all the time, and then all of a sudden, Sunday happens and you fix spot, now they came this lot. Because it's just stretch them, just open the fascia. And it gets move stays a little bit around. So make sure you practice trying to try it.
That is, I just that joke. That's so fascinating. You have that Nance. I was talking about it, frankly, I think you worked on it. But he's a pro hockey player, my son. And they don't strength train during the season. Okay. At least strength training like me. I think yours $12 like during the season. Right. Or before the season, it's heavyweights, whoever want to. And when they hit the field, it's all functional training and recovery during that. They'll all prep work because they're playing every weekend. The basketball players are playing every single day. A couple of days off. So all the strength work is done in the off season. And then all the recovery and the functional movements are done during season. And of course, the injuries happen post that accident. So typically, small players, I can work happy, but I can't work in the depth as I work on before the stage to have throwing his pitch on. And people don't know that. Saying that, I'm a player, I'm going to do this. You have to be mindful when the season is or when the season's not it. Okay, now this is going to sound really stupid, but I know that I didn't using. So I've been doing these exercises, and what we do is we play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I missed Friday because girls' house came into town. So I was playing on Monday, Wednesday, and then I got all these exercises, and I was doing them. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I missed Monday. And this Monday because I had to drive the girlfriends to the airport. So then I go in Wednesday, and I was slamming it. Like and I kept saying, well, maybe it's the altitude that I'm just, and it's like, wait, it's no bit. And, we use recovery. I had 7 days of recovery. I had 7 days of recovery. That's something like, and there's enough to rub that yet. And because that felt really then. Well, okay, now explain to everybody what you were doing with crossing myself. Yeah, my wrist. I mean, yeah.
So I just did some soft tissue work on her. So, but it was just with the fascia. And a lot of times when it's a both, that is elbow, and decided that actually can come up with the bicep while they come to bar. So I just got to manipulate the muscle, but still go back. I'll work on the bar past party the substance. Here, stretch up and things to it. Yeah, that's the issue like that. We can blood tea, stretch me, and what do you others do either? We did at the high, they did it. That's the kind of actually right at the shoulder. Yeah, sorry, the time. I put power down to I repeat up your shirt now. Okay. But so talk to me about the small group stuff that you're doing. Like I get these people and them to open up about certain injuries, prepare them for their activities. Like, how is that working at the facility? So it's really interesting. You have to educate people, just like what we're doing, that they would understand and will need to do more to prepare for some of the time sports and not to jump out there and do the thing. So with the small group, a lot of that has to do with you're going up to market. Hey, but so pickleball, because I live in Florida, so pickleball is also huge in Florida. It's huge everywhere, but we can have a lot of people doing that. So it's putting that education out there on how it's important for them to come in. You have to start with the workshops and give them a taste of it and get them in and come in. And, we also do reformer Pilates. So that's also something that is really great to help people with the control and the precision of their movement, which is going to, of course, help them with the control sitting of their movement in sports. So a big piece of that is the education of letting people need to do, get them in for smaller. And if you can get a bunch of golfers together, a bunch of pickleball players together, a bunch of hikers together, then you can focus on the specific thing as use it.
Okay, interesting. What are that we talked a little bit about overuse injuries. What is some of the mobility work that you've been doing with your clients that help them in your recovery?
Yeah, so, for me, it's twofold, right? I'm actually talking about in one of the sessions in here. It's the stuff that you do at home, right? And there's the things that we do to them. So I look at it as like a reset. If I need a reset in the system, like I need to manually help that along. Meaning is there a limited range of motion, there's getting to the range of motion. And I have this system, it's a movement, because I'm not just communicating to the muscles, right? I'm not just communicating to the fascia, I'm also communicating to the nerves. So I need to allow them to down-regulate the nervous system so that their brain can know that movement is okay. And it can safely take them into the range of motion that they want or they need to be able to get on or to do well, right? And the other thing I do need to do is educate them that it's not about being able to split or being able to be super flexible. It's about being able to do life in their life, life. Yeah.
And what I would say is I take yoga. We'll talk about trying yoga because I know how Gail loves it and she needs it. My husband loves high yoga because it'll help him stretch. But look at these yoga instructors and it's ridiculous. They're all double jointed. I mean, nobody in their life can hold their toe out there. And why would you want to? What is the benefit for this? Except as a hurry trick at a mile. That's that's what we did. My fellow and I are virtual. Yeah, it's definitely just picture about moving. Yeah. And it's I look at these things and I can't stand when a yoga instructor says to me, well, I've been doing this for years. If you keep doing this, you will be able to do this. No, you won't. Your body, no. Your muscles are certain lengths, your tendons are certain lengths, And if you're that flexible, you shouldn't be doing more flexibility work. You should be doing strength work. And yes,
So, when you say that, right? So we get a lot of people, even in stretch, for stability because they lose the stability in the hypermobility. So they'll come because then we can use some techniques to help them get that motor control, that stability, because it's still a sin challenge. But yes, we're not looking at how flexible are you, because it's not like you have a t-shirt saying, this is flexibility, about that. It's about the quality of life. So I'm thinking about the client, when it comes to the recovery, I want to talk about where is the impact having, and if I need to help on the reset side. And it does take time for the brain to accept, neuroplasticity is real. So it takes, time to get there. But once I feel like we got so large in, then I want them to hold it. Then how they're going to hold it, we use, atomic habits concept, right? We're going to do small habits that they do 1 to 2 things, and they're going to do it next to an existing habit. So let's say to you with the elbow, we say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z without the elbow good. Okay, we still, you can hold it. You got to brush your teeth. You got to comb your hair at some point. After you comb your hair, do this. And that's what allows the clients to maintain their recovery because we're tying into something that you're already doing. Now, if your clients say they don't brush their teeth or comb your hair, obviously,
trying to find a really good game.
I still always football players. Yeah. We're in some amazing. So it's just some of them, but they have to believe that the work that you've asked them to do outside of the gym can actually get them to the goal that they have. But if you overload their, because like I teach my trainers, like there's only the trainer's goal and the client's goal. Right? And we need to reset our mindset to ensure that we're staying with the client's goal, because they're like, I got a great program for you. They just wanted to play with my grandkids. Yeah, so it has to be the client's goal. So, but if you give them one thing to do, and the last thing is you have to hold them accountable to the thing, because that's where there's a lot of talk about AI. There's a lot of talk about all these things, but the reality is AI is not going to go. So, did you do the work I told you to do? AI can't look you in the face. So that's where we're able to hold our market share very well.
Yeah. Drop the mic. No, okay. Don't drop the mic. Dan will kill us. Okay. So training for active aging activities. Are there certain things that you specifically do with your older adults?
Yeah. Strength training. We know that maintaining muscle is gold. It's the most important thing you can do for longevity. So we're not doing HIIT classes. You are not doing, anything crazy. Most of our clients, the amount of cardio they actually do with us is negligible. What I need to see is that they can hold their muscle tissue as they age. And then we're really leaning into functional movement habits, right? Because, we have some clients who have, are from double, bone on bone, they have arthritis in their knees, they have degenerative disc situations, all this kind of thing. So for some of them, getting down and up is not as easy. So we're not doing walking lunges. We're going to do a step up. We're still in the same movement pattern, So it's thinking about how, because it's not just about aging adults. I think the conversation is about longevity. It's about how do you get to live long? And I think longevity has 3 components to it. I think it's a lifespan, right? Today we're living way longer than we ever lived in America or the world, really. And then it's about health span, right? How long can I stay disease-free and not be ridden to my bed with disease? And then the third part we've been talking about already is play span. The ability to enjoy life and do the things that I want to do and play. So if I can keep you in functional movement patterns, the same thing that I'm doing with the athletes as they get into seasons, right? They can squat, they can press, they can hinge, they can deadlift, right? They got to get glutes so strong. So all my aging adults, right? We're working on all those glutes. It's not just great to look at. It's going to keep them out of pain.
Great to look at.
So it's going to keep them out of pain. I'm going to show them how to push, therefore they can keep that mobility long with it. So I'm constantly working through those movement patterns as they age, and I'm also reminding them the why. And I'm, Amber talks about educating their clients. I think the education comes before they become a client. I think the education is in their marketing. What are you showing? How are you talking about what you do and what problems you solve? Because about 14, no, good night. About 15, 16 years ago, I remember I was doing a before after picture with a client. She's still talking to me today. And I was like, ooh, what do you think about this before and after picture? And it was a lady who was overweight and then she had lost weight. She was in a bikini. And then, and I showed her, I was like, well, I was thinking to put this up. What do you think? And she's like, let me know if you like it. That's code for I don't like it. And now it's 25 years. If you like it, it means I don't really like it. So I was like, no, like, tell me. She was like, honestly, my goal is not to look good in a bikini. I'm 55 years old. My goal is to look really good in a gown. And it started to help me understand. Now, there's some people 55 and all that almost great in a bikini, but our season and most of my clients' season, it's about like the goal that's relevant to where they are. And today, the conversation has even changed. With all the things happening with GLP and all the peptide opportunities, the conversation is about, can you keep me strong? Because the drugs can't do that.
Oh. All right. Well, I've got too many questions to Amber. Go. Okay. Yeah, and then we're hitting the...
I just wanted... Oh, yeah, go. Okay. So I wanted to add, because it's so important what Evan said about the strength training, but also, and this is also related to our summer exercise, is stability and the balance.
Yes.
So you mentioned stability, but you were talking about,
stability, absolutely.
Stability and making sure that they don't fall down. Pickleball is huge for falls. And hiking was another of the things on our list, and so is that. I was falling hiking, fall hiking. So we have to work on that balance work, on being able to stabilize on those uneven surfaces when you're moving quickly and trying to get from one side to the other, being able to recover in the event that you're like, whoa, I went a little too far. So this is also a piece to that puzzle with the strength training to add in the balance. And I can't wait to hear you talk about yoga. We're talking about hot yoga?
Yeah.
So I'm going to rewind for a little bit. Pilates is trending right now. And the reason Pilates is trending right now is because somebody put football players on reformer, and all of a sudden it kickstarted it. Okay, now that was just a reel of influencers doing that. Same thing, I'm going to take it back a little bit with Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps was cupping, and everybody's like, oh, you cup. And I've been doing cupping for over 40 years. Where you been? So now it trends. Does that make sense? Fast forward, hot yoga. Hot yoga was started in India. Why?
So
It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. We decided to bring it to America. And we decided we're going to take a rope and crank it up to 140 degrees, which is fake heat, and put 100 people in that rope and crank it up and tell people this is the best thing for them because it just came from India. No, it's not. Let's take it back a little bit. My athletes are running in the heat. They don't need to be going to hot yoga. All right? They're getting natural heat, natural weather, humidity, rain, whatever it is. All right? Hot yoga gives you a false sense of flexibility. It also dehydrates your fascia. We can go deeper into that. And then you go out, so people go to hot yoga, I lost so much weight. You lost water. And go outside and drink a gallon of water, you put it right back in, and water moves right back up. This is for women, we tend to retain water. You're with me on that? So, stop doing hot yoga. Stop telling your clients to do hot yoga. It is not a trend. It just stop doing it. Now,
How do you really feel about it?
Yeah. But you're in hot yoga, and I'm in Atlanta right now. I have to say Atlanta weather is not bad. We're at 85 degrees. Last year we were at like 100 degrees.
Nice.
So the weather is great. But last year we were 100 degrees doing hot yoga. What sense does that make? Just take your clients outside and do a yoga class, and they're fine and good to go. Because that's the temperature you're dealing with in the city you're working in. So how am I taking football players who are working in 10-degree weather, with just helmets and ties, and they say, oh, let's go do a hot yoga class? Just for reference, we're in New York. If we go play a game in Buffalo, we check the weather for that game. And if it's going to be 10 degrees, they're playing outside. And they're freezing the footballs because they have to catch that ball cold. People don't know that. The kickers are kicking ice footballs because they have to freeze it because that's the temperature they're working in. So if we're going to have 90-degree weather in New York, and then we go to Buffalo when it's cold, we're going from a tremendous temperature change. So that's why they're going 2 days earlier to deal with the temperature change, to be ready to play for the game. People don't understand that, but we're going to go do hot yoga. I'm just saying. So put it in reference. If clients want to go do hot yoga, strongly do not recommend it. It's going to dehydrate them. We have enough issues going on with flexibility. It's giving them a false sense of flexibility. You want the right flexibility? Put them in the temperature of the room, like we are in right now, and do a class, and let their body heat warm them up to the flexibility, because everybody has a different body heat. Hopefully that helps. I'll take a bow on that.
Too much. Shit, too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting next to me going, see something.
Yeah. And, but one of the things I was wondering about is recovery strategies. Like I just read, I always get newsletters from different organizations, and I've read 2 different things. This is a little bit not as closely associated with it, but about protein ingestion. Do you ingest protein? This article I just read said you have to ingest it right after you strength train. And I'm like I've read it, I've been trained in it, that no, we don't. It's whenever you, but we're reading these things. And one of my biggest pet peeves is reading certain things that are written by influencers that don't have the scientific background, aren't certified, and there are differing opinions out there. Let's go. Amber.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it further. I'll talk about peptides. It's a new thing that's coming out. It's not FDA approved. And peptides right now, it's like COVID, right? You're not going to get the after effects of COVID. We're now feeling the after effects of COVID. Peptides is not FDA approved. And I can't take peptides for personal reasons. But peptides grow things. So you don't know the results from 10 years from now. Just like Botox, 10 years from now. Look at what GLPs are doing to women right now, or people right now. They look like zombies. Wait for 10 years from now, see the damage they're going to be doing to kidneys and livers, to their fascia and everything like that.
Well, the big fear with peptides, I have a son, it has connective tissue, a connective tissue disorder that they really can't. They think it's Ehlers, Daniel, whatever. But he's not presenting the same way, because nobody really presents the same way as anybody else. But there's no cure. There's no cure whatsoever. But he's been with the functional medicine physician who's putting him on peptides, but it's not like making him big and bulky. He's cycling it, and he's under physician's care, because frankly, the poor kid had micronosis, 13 surgeries in 13 years. I mean, it's insane. But and he's not a kid, he's a man who's gone through, and he's probably having a heart attack if he ever watched me talking about him. But he's never going to watch, so enjoy. Okay, so yeah, but the peptides, the biggest fear is that if somebody's predisposed to cancer, it causes cell growth, and that's a big fear of people doing these peptides. And I look at people on peptides, and it's some of them, it's a little bit frightening.
Okay, so Sarah doesn't notice, and nobody in the room knows this. I was diagnosed with cancer last year, 2024, and in the intestines. How I caught it was the weirdest thing. I couldn't lay on my belly, and it just was hurting. So I went to the doctor, and they caught it. That's the good news. So I said to him, "What the peptides?" He goes, the cancer you have, you're the only one in the island by yourself. It's such a rare one. I always get these rare things. I don't know what it is with me. I'm so special. I'm so special. But peptides would grow it back. I will pause on that. So I can't take peptides. I can't take creatine, because it grows it back. Every 6 months, I have to go for physical. I have to go through the whole testing. My white blood cells are high right now, so there's an infection in my body. So we're doing all these different tests. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to die, but are you going to die? And this one broke down and started crying. I don't know why she broke down and cried, and I'm alive. But it's manageable. I caught it early, but peptides will grow cancer.
Well, hold on. Here we go.
But it does. And my doctor was like, you can't do it.
So let's get some science behind this. So what is a peptide, right? So you have the proteins, which where the conversation started, and I do want to share my protein opinion. Proteins break down into 20 amino acids, right? These amino acids, when you eat a piece of chicken, for an example, they fall into your digestive system, breaks it down, to all these amino acids, right? We've been taking BCAAs for years and all this other kind of stuff. And your body takes these amino acids and reconfigure them. Think about a Lego starship. A little kid goes and breaks it up, and then somebody else makes a laser with it. So if your body, peptides are in our bodies. It's not like, oh, I can't take a peptide. Oh, you walk around with a bunch of Mania. Now certain ones, they're signaling molecules. So basically, there are certain peptides that tell your body to do certain things. Give an example. The first peptide that we discovered and have been using in medicine is insulin. We've been using it in medicine for 100 years. So insulin, 1920, they started using insulin in medicine. Insulin is a peptide. It's just that as you're starting putting new things and we begin to learn new things, we have to get educated. Now, if you're Gail, then I'm hypersensitive on what I'm going to do because I'm predisposed to growth hormone, right? Which is, so I'll give an example, Sermorelin, Tesamorelin. These are, again, natural forming things. But if I turn the growth factor in her, then your body doesn't say, I'm only going to grow these type of tissues. It says, I'm going to grow tissue. Well, if it's Gail, it's my mom, right? There's a high chance that it's going to grow that cancer. So I'm going to stay away from anything that's going to trigger growth. Now, with that, I'd love to pivot into the protein component.
Let's do that. Thank you very much.
No problem. And so the reason why people, these influencers, I totally agree with you. The reason why they say things like you should take your protein right after a workout is because they've done research to show that there's something called mTOR that basically your body's muscle turnover heightens post-workout. So it's a good opportunity to do that. But when you look at the data outside of the lab, you look at the total human experience, that amount of growth that happens pre-workout is negligible compared to someone taking the right amount of protein throughout the course of the day.
Yep.
Same thing with what's the new trend? Because you're talking about trends, intermittent fasting and 3-day fasting and all this foolishness. Clearly, you know what I feel about it. All the research shows that continual eating beats it. But if you need to not eat for a certain number of hours to control your eating habits, then do intermittent fasting. As long as you also get all the nutrients in that you need to maintain a healthy quality body. So you do not need to eat your protein a certain way at a certain time. But if you think of the cycle of when someone works out, so if it's me, it's first thing in the morning. Some people may work out later in the day. Well, there may be a window of a couple hours that by the time you finish your workout, you haven't eaten.
When you're starving. That's what happens to me.
So when
I just within that half an hour, I'm like,
and what you're going to eat first is your protein. So as long as you're getting in and out of good protein amounts throughout the day, you don't have to break your head to do that. A lot of people, especially women, which are most of my clients, struggle with consuming proteins, right? So if I give you a shake post-workout, it's just an opportunity to get 20 to 40 grams of protein in to lead towards my total weight goal. But you don't have to oh my God, if I don't get my mix in right at a certain time, then my body's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
I'm going to throw this at Amber.
I'm with Evans, and I also want to make a couple of points. So Gail works with professional athletes. That's very different than myself and Sarah. I mean, I work out hard, but I don't work out like her athletes. So that little hour window, maybe it's super important for them at their level. For me, it's very different. But as a fitness professional who coaches a lot of people and tries to get them into a habit, part of the recovery of your body is to provide your muscles with enough protein and carbohydrates to build back. Yeah, you need to eat carbs. Yes, ladies. Okay. So for a lot of my clients, I coach them. This is more about habit stacking than the hour after you work out. So if I say, hey, when you get done working out, I would like for you to have a protein shake and a high glycemic carb. Go eat a Rice Krispie treat after you get done. And that is going to give them the fuel that they need. And they're going to remember it more likely than if they just work out and run along and do whatever. So it's more of a technique, really, for the majority of us to get that in. But protein is part of the recovery process. Carbohydrates are part of the recovery process. Sleep is when we build everything back. So this is why we should be focusing on going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every morning. And those things and hydration are a big part of your recovery, so much more than let's go cold plunge or whatever.
we haven't even talked about that.
But the magic is in your everyday daily habits and Groundhog Day your life by doing these habits that keep the recovery happening. She just dropped the mic with it.
Amen.
So just to add on to what she said, the high level athletes I'm dealing with, we don't take protein shakes or creatine. There's food on all the time. You walk in, cafeteria is loaded. Cafeteria breakfast ends at 11, lunch starts at 11. It goes right till 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock ends, there's another dinner set that comes in. So they're always eating, and there's protein constantly. Whether it's chicken, fish, steak, soups, love the soups. Lots of soups, a lot of fluid, a lot of everything. So they're constantly fed. They work out, they eat. They're on the field, they eat. They come back in, they eat. They go for meetings, they come out, they eat. They're constantly fueling, they're constantly eating. So these guys are high-profile guys. They're leading the high performance, so they've got to maintain that. So if that helps you guys out, yeah.
But it's not the shakes.
No,
it's not the
shakes. They're not.
It's constant.
No, it's constant. And the waters, they have a lot of water. They'll have lemons in their water a lot of times. Sometimes they have lemons, they have cranberries, and they're just doing that as a secondary thing. But it's water. They have Gatorade. They have Pedialytes. We're in camp right now, so we also have drips going on at the same time because the other guys have that.
I have a couple things. Interesting when you were talking about the peptides just affect everything. Like, and your friends, she went on the minoxidil. Is that it to help hair growth?
Oh, she ended off. I know.
No, what is that?
Yeast infection.
No, is that
that?
Maybe she was on that. Not me. Not me. Happily married, 40 years. No, what is it? What is it?
Okay.
No, but what is the medicine that you take to grow hair?
She's calling. Perfect. Those medications, hair growth, are minoxidil. You were right.
I was right. You and your yeast infection. Minoxidil. Amber's got a yeast infection, but we don't want to talk about it because her husband's in tennis pro. Okay. So anyway, she would take a minoxidil and she had the hair growth. But her face started growing hair. She had to go in and get it shaved. She had gotten the laser hair removal and it all grew back on her legs and under her arms. And she had to go back. No, she's still doing like a freaking nuts. She's getting extensions. Her body wig. It's like like a monkey. But no, and also she's not going to watch this webinar, so this is fine. But if you ingest it, if you're taking something, it's going all over.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't target. You can't target it.
But the way your cell structure is set up, right? You're receptor sites, so everything is not received by every cell. But you have my hair growth, every follicle cell, right, is gonna grow hair. You can't say only grow hair on my head. But there are some, in all fairness to peptides, there are some that have been doing some major help in the marketplace. even a well-managed GLP-1, there's some that help with stress. There's some things there that has really helped people recover. And I think as fitness professionals, one of the things, and I was like that for the first couple of years I got exposed to peptides, where I was like, just work harder. But the reality is that we have to position ourselves well to support the market that we're serving. And if we don't get educated and if we're like, oh, don't do that, when 1 in 8 Americans are on a peptide and 1 in 5 have tried.
Yep.
So if I'm standing from the rooftop saying this stuff, then those people are not going to be my clients. And I can't help them. And a part of being in the fitness business, I looked at, I took HFA put it out. They said the average length of someone in the fitness industry is 8 months.
Really?
Yeah.
As a trainer?
As a trainer.
Really?
8 months.
What's wrong with balance?
We're about that.
Yeah, very good. There you go.
So why? They come in and they don't know how to develop business. They don't know how to make money doing the things that we do. And it's a real work. You got to get paid. You got to be able to serve people. So learning and understanding, if I'm a new trainer right now, figuring out, okay, what's going on with peptides and how can I serve 1 in 8 Americans?
Yeah.
Because that's almost the same percentage of people that have a cheer membership.
Well, the other thing is, I'm going to throw this to Amber real quick. But we have, like, I've got friends that call me, they're like, I have to confess something. And I'm like, what? She's like, my girlfriend lost 25 pounds. All right. Again, I hope to God she's not watching it. It's good. She might have been. And so scary. Anyway, I think she lost 25 pounds. But I got to tell you, she's been trying for years and years and years and years. And this is really helping her. And she's under doctor's care. And now they're figuring out how to wean her up. And she's lost enough. And she's scared to just like stop. But she's got to figure it out. And you've got to figure out, we've got to figure out. I always talk to Amy Gilbert about this because she's got like 1 in 5 clients that are on GLP-1s. And you've got to get it out of them. That they feel like it's this big, horrible secret. And like, we're going to chastise them. And they're like, I only wish that my mother could have taken a GLP-1. My mother died at 340 pounds. And as she got older, she got bigger. I watched her get bigger and I watched her life get smaller. And I look at that and I go, if there's medication out there like polio vaccines or whatever that saves children's lives, that saves people's lives, I mean, that's what modern medicine is about.
So here's the thing with GLPs, and I'm going to agree also with evidence on that. We have a lot of our clients that are also on them. And this is where in the fitness industry, we need to be educating and standing up for this. We don't need to demonize it. It's not my favorite thing. I'm not going to lie to you because I really want people to learn how to do this without the crutch, but I also understand that a lot of people need that to get going and to understand. So I'm here to partner with people and help them through this journey. The problem is most doctors don't say, hey, you need to be working with a fitness professional.
You just
correct. What you need to strength training is so important. You need to make sure your bone health is strong and you're not losing bone with this. I don't know that they really realize that this is what could be happening to them. The other thing is work with a nutrition coach like me who can help you understand about how to transition to eating, because if y'all couldn't hear Gail, but Gail said, all that's coming back, right, to your friend. And it is because what happens is you take the medication away. Nobody's taught them how to eat or deal with hunger. We all have food noise. So you have to understand how to work with that. You have to understand how to work with hunger when you're in a deficit, and you need a knowledgeable coach to help you with that and to understand how to balance your meals and eat them properly and get protein, carbs, and fat in, and all of your vitamins and minerals. I see so many people doing this and they're not exercising. And one of my clients described it as a melted candle. Like they just look like a melted ice cream all over relative candle.
Seen that?
Yes. And so your weight on the scale is the least exciting thing about you. So there's so much more, and there's so much more than just losing weight. You could lose weight from muscle. You can lose weight from bone. You can lose weight from water. You can lose weight from fat. It needs to come from the appropriate places. And if you're partnering with somebody, what it sounds like, Evans, you guys do it. I feel like you do it with pushing people. Myself, we do it. We want to help you on that journey, but we have to know. And then what if you have some kind of connective tissue disorder like your son? And is the doctor really realizing that?
And I can't even really forget talking about somebody, but my sister-in-law, it's like I was watching her. She's on GLP-1s, and she's not shy about it. But then she was hungry, so she had a bowl of ice cream, and I'm like, it's like, and she's not going to finish the ice cream, but she should be eating protein and vegetables.
Yes.
And she's now having problems with her Achilles. And I'm just, it's scary. That is scary.
I do want to add on to that. And in the sense of, we're all working with people. I have a huge community of doctors around me that reach out to me, and I reach out to them. But if you don't have a community of people, stay within the scope of your practice. That's one thing Sarah will say. So if you're doing the GLPs and there's a client, the verbiage, you need to step up and say, hey, you're looking great. Do you need help? And help them with the strength and conditioning. Because when they start weaning them, when it's like she said, it's a melted candle, which I'm going to steal that. They have to be able to transition to something that's going to help them build the muscle. Because they have to get the strength and the bone that density they're losing and all these different things, because people get addicted to it. I have a friend whose mother's addicted to GLP. They got her off of it. She started putting on a weight. She went back, and now she's addicted to it. And she's not doing any strength work.
So how do you manage this if you're a trainer and a fitness professional? Right?
In 1 minute or less.
I got you. So you look at a few things. The research says 40% of the weight loss is going to come from muscle. Find a way to measure the client's muscle consistently. Like we use the InBody in our facility. You can go further somewhere else that has a dense InBody something, so you can look at the muscle. Talk to your clients about that, because if they can maintain muscle while doing that, they can get that. You're surely getting protein, at least 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So if they're getting their protein, and we know that's supporting them, you show that they're getting vegetables and nutrients and take that high quality multi. If your clients are doing those things and tracking and watching that, even if their weight is not moving as fast, they're keeping the stuff they need to keep, they're going to get results, and you're going to be the guy to go to, or the cow.
Guy or gal. You guys, we're there.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dan, for running it. Thank you, Andrew, for helping with the little technical stuff. We appreciate this. Evans, thank you so much. Gail, thank you so much. This one's going to work on my back. This one's going to work on my elbow. And we're going to dinner. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next month.